Well, welcome to Arsenal above all. Welcome to the 1 year anniversary, the birthday party. It's all flowing. One of these guys arrived fashionably late to the party, as you do. I won't tell you who that is. We kind of have a guess who that is. You probably can tell by their body language and their faces. But the international break is over, thankfully, and all eyes are ahead and focused on Goodison Park and our resumption in the Premier League, to a place where Mikel Arteta really needs to exercise some demons. He's had a bit of a nightmare since he's gone back there as a manager. I've got Brian, Steve, and Neil, who was here with me a year ago today for my first show. We're here to chew the facts about the Everton game, transfers, squad rotation, and all the other good stuff. But before all of that, of course, let's go. Welcome to the show. I've got Neil Shah with me. How you doing, Neil? He's brought the cake. He's got the birthday cake. How you doing? How you doing, my friend?
I'm well. I want to wish AAA a happy birthday. Amazing work that you've done, Michael, with the channel and how it's grown so quickly and its popularity is there to be seen. And I'm just absolutely stoked and proud to be part of it. So I just want to say thank you for always inviting me on and sharing this amazing project with you and these lovely lads and the others that do come on now and again as well. Just it's just been a fabulous treat. So happy first birthday, AAA, and long may it continue.
Thanks, Neil. Thanks very much. Always a pleasure to have you, my friend, and to be here for the first time, obviously a year ago, and tonight had to be done. So appreciate you coming on again on your time, man. Also got Brian Haley. He's going to be busting out the electric slide later on tonight when the party's going off. How you doing, Brian?
Oh, good, Mike. I'm really good. I'll blow out that one candle for you as well. Don't worry. I've got a nice wish for you behind it too.
Oh, nice one, man. Again, appreciate your time. And I've also got the I'm going to throw him in it, the latecomer, Stephen Osakwe, but he's the man. He's the main man with the rum. So I know he's got a few kegs there, a few cases. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, nice one.
Blanco.
Yeah, nice one. Yeah. He's the man in that regards. Steve, thanks for coming. How you doing, man?
Yeah, thank you for having me on. Apologies for my timekeeping. Like I said, I blame the kids, but I don't want them to hear this because they'll just beat me up in the morning or something. And I take full responsibility.
No, good to see you, Steve. Again, thank you for your time. Thank you always, guys, for your time. Really appreciate it. So let's jump into it. International break is done and dusted, and there's another one next month, which is mad. But anyway, we've got a few tasty games in between that, and this is where Mikel Arteta has obviously been talking about how players are going to get their chances to contribute. Obviously, it starts with the Everton game at the weekend. I'll start with you, Brian. Just talking on your take, obviously, because we haven't heard you on since the Community Shield game win. What's your thoughts on the season so far and how we started? And do you think that leads to the performance, especially the last one? Do you think that leads to maybe possible chances of rotation for the game off the back of the international break, or do you think he goes strong? I.e., in his eyes, that means Havertz start continuing his place in the side.
Yeah, I think I kind of rated the first part probably about a 7 out of 10 so far, and in the aspects of around kind of the game against Everton and how he may set up against that, I don't see an awful amount of changes, and I don't know if it's just the stubbornness from it, the back end of the result from United as well. Does he see that there is Kai Havertz is kind of making those small little inroads that we're trying to get to see him perform each week now. Yeah, I don't. I've put down kind of looking. I would make probably a couple of changes, but I'd be probably controversial to say kind of probably have Tomiyasu possibly come in and Jesus to come in. But I'm looking at kind of the physical aspect, and I know that will probably be something that we'll probably chat about in a bit. The physical aspect of Everton. I think we've gone to games there at Goodison, probably not had that physical presence about us. I think we haven't won there since 2017-18 season, I think. But we look different this time around, and I think that with Declan Rice in the side, even with Havertz's height in the side, probably and as I said, bringing probably Tomiyasu in there, I think we've got a bit more of that physical presence about us that we can go to that game and actually not be overawed by what we're going to expect. We know what we're going to expect there, and I think if Arteta's not done his due diligence on Everton over the last few seasons of us not winning there over the last 2 weeks, then there's a problem there. There's a problem there with regarding to how we can, how he should be looking at that game. He should have been studying that game through the 2 weeks through the international break to see how we can actually set up and be a physical presence ourselves in that game. Because technically we know we will beat them 99 times out of 100. We will beat them technically anyway. It's that physical aspect which will probably be, the set piece aspect of it, all of that, those details is what we've got to have, and we've got to look at into that game.
Yeah, absolutely. Neil, are you worried about the fact that, Dyche, obviously with his record against Arteta in certain aspects, has had like a couple of weeks to prepare for this, or you just think that, Arteta's had time to obviously prepare for this as well, but you got any concerns going ahead to that, or are you kind of confident that if we win our battles, we should be okay? But it's just, being up against a side who are going to be up for it. Some, big game. Obviously, they moved it to the Sunday afternoon. Now, I believe it was on Saturday previously, but they've moved it from the Champions League, which is strange. But any concerns about Sunday at all?
I think the momentum obviously is with Dyche for sure. He's got that number. He's got that number on or over Arteta, hasn't he, in recent years? And I think that probably is the only thing in their favour. I think on paper we should be able to, as Brian said, we should be able to beat them comfortably. But it's a difficult ground to go to, and we just seem to struggle there for some reason. I don't know why and what the reason is. But I feel. In terms of how he should set up, I actually think that he should go fairly similar to what he did with United. I don't want him to go back to that if Partey's fit and all that right back inverted stuff. Please just keep it to how you were against United, because I thought we were a lot better. We seemed more balanced and we seemed more focused and driven, and I just felt that the fluidity had returned a little bit as well. It was a bit of a scrappy game, the Man United game, but we had some moments where we saw what we were doing when we were at our prime last season. And that's just because of the way we set up. And if he starts experimenting again or going back to that, I don't think he should be starting to mess around with such things. I will say, initially I was thinking he should start Jesus, pretty much what Brian says. But I think because of he's still sort of like recovering or rehabilitating from his injury, I guess. And I think he would like to save him. This is my opinion, for PSV. Which obviously it's our first game back in the Champions League for 6-7 years, and we want to start with a good we want to have a good start, especially being at home. And I've got a feeling he may save Jesus for that and maybe bring him on as a substitute and start off with Eddie. But other than for me, as you know, guys, Havertz, I just feel that he needs to be brought. He should be managed a bit better now. I think he needs to come on as a substitute if he is going to come on. I think there's just too much pressure on the lad. I'm actually feeling a bit sorry for him. He's already getting so much stick, which I think is a little unfair. I just think that he needs to have the limelight taken away from him just for a little bit. Maybe come on as a substitute. We've got such quality to take his place. We've seen what Trossard did in the internationals. We all know about him. We've seen Fabio Vieira, a new man, completely different beast or animal. And I just think that we've got the options there. But other than that, please just go with what we'd had with Man United because it worked. And we need to get a result because we've got some big games after that. We need to get the 3 points against Everton.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting because he's going to want someone up there with a bit of tenacity and someone that kind of puts the pressure, the defenders on their toes. And we know Jesus kind of does that. I mean, Eddie's been doing well as well. That's the thing. So it's kind of harsh to sort of drop him, but that's what you want. You want the two players to be on the form, and so it's obviously going to benefit the team. So absolutely spot on with that, Neil. Steve, what's your thoughts on just how we've started the season? A lot of people are trying to say we started, kind of poorly or not that well. We've not been playing well, but I think a lot of people are looking at last season through kind of rose-tinted glasses a bit because I think we got off to a great start. We won. I think we won the first 4, I believe, when we lost to United. And then which was a game which we shouldn't have lost, as we all know. But in those 4 games that we won, we didn't blow teams away. The Palace game, the first game of the season, yes, first half was sensational. Second half we were hanging on. It took a Saka goal a Saka across, which was turned in by Mark Guehi to seal the win. And obviously Palace had a lot of opportunities in that game to maybe get back in. I think we played Leicester. We let in some soft goals. Saliba scored an own goal in that game. We won that one 4-2. Fulham, we know what happened there. Mitrovic robbed Gabriel, and we struggled. We made really hard work of it, and we ended up winning that last minute. And then we had Villa as well. Again, we made hard work of that. We won that 1-2-1. So it seems a little bit like people are, because they're worried of City to a certain extent, or what City are doing, and it's like we can't drop points. Do you think that's kind of played into people's thoughts of or the views of how we started the season? Because for me, it's kind of like we haven't got maximum points last year. Last year we did, but I still think it's kind of like we're going in the right direction.
I'll keep it brief as I can. Always forward. Okay, that's our motto. Is we're always forward. It's a results business. Did we get the results? Yes. Could one of our results been better? Yes. But we got results. We've got our points on the table. There's things to improve on, and it's good to know what things we need to improve on and where to work on, so that we know what things we can look forward to seeing as the season goes on, and those improvements being installed into the team. We're fine.
Very, very brief. Very, very brief. You got somewhere to go afterwards, Steve.
You know what? It's because I'm late, innit? I thought, let me just let you guys chat about it. Just humble myself a bit. Do you know what I mean? I'll carry on. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'll come to you. Actually, I want to come back to you because of that behaviour, your shocking behaviour. You're gonna get a suspension in a minute, mate. You're gonna get fined as well.
I want to yellow.
What are you concerned about the Thomas Partey situation, where again he's got another injury, and do you think that's something that we really, really should be looking at, addressing in January, or have we already done that in terms of the Declan Rice signing, and it's all about maybe getting someone else in a different position, or do you just think we just need to get someone in as cover for him? Because I'm a bit concerned, because obviously we're relying on Jorginho to be the cover now for Declan Rice, and if that goes to hell, then it's El Neni, right? And he's not, he's still not near to fitness. But what's your thoughts on Partey? What do you think the club should be doing about that?
I think we should be looking to find his replacement, or somebody that can come in and learn from him while he's there, while he's able to play. So in January, that's that, and probably a more physical striker are the 2 positions that I would get. I think, Neil, from the last podcast with Lauren, you touched on it about who we should look. Who we should be looking to get in and finding in that position and stuff like that. Because I think it was you that mentioned Jorginho and Abinoneni there as players that are okay for the odd game here and there and a good experience around in certain situations and stuff like that. But yeah, Rice helps. Rice is an absolute massive monster. But we can't. I don't want it to be that we're too over reliant on him and just going, well, we've got Rice there, and then going, but we don't have anybody else. We need somebody else that's going to come in. I'm sure they're all looking at it, Edu and Arteta and everybody else are looking for somebody that's suitable for us, somebody that matches our player profile, the type of player that they want, right attributes and qualities that they'll bring to the squad. So yeah, I would definitely be looking to bring somebody in. If we can't find somebody permanently in January, because it's a very difficult time to buy somebody, then at least a loan deal. But yeah, if they're not looking at it, I'll be very surprised, because it's a position that he is not reliable through injuries, and injuries are just part of the game. Some players get injured a lot, some players don't. Unfortunately for him and a few others, that's part of their Arsenal career, is just injuries. And by not finding suitable replacements for them and just going, oh, but when they're back and they'll be fit, and you go, yeah, like us as fans go, yeah, but they'll be fit for a third of the season or be out for a third of the season. We need that stability and that extra backup. So I would definitely be looking at that, and a physical striker.
Yeah, physical striker as well. Yeah, definitely. Is the worry also, Brian, that Thomas Partey is going to be away in January as well for the African Nations Cup? So obviously, it was they had their playoff and they won that game. Obviously, it was a good chance that he may not have featured. But obviously, we've got the winter break as well. So the way it's kind of structured, he wouldn't miss as many games as would have been normally the case in that period. But do you agree with Steve? It's something that we should be identifying an area that to get some cover in or properly strengthen, or do we leave that to the summer, or can we afford to?
I think the best endeavours will be within that window to try and find a deal for someone who will fit the profile, as Steve quite rightly said. I think the issue is the difficulty, and the difficulty of actually finding that profile player who basically we can actually have on loan for a particular period, because you're looking at a player that ultimately is either not playing for their club at that time anyway that's going to come in, okay, or the obscurity of it, they could be a free at the end of the summer or whatever it could be. It's going to be, but it's going to be quite a difficult deal to get a top class central midfielder, defensive midfielder to play for 6 months for us. The striker element of it as well, as Steve said, you're right. I think we need to have an alternative. And we've probably said before, an alternative way of playing. We're going to be playing a lot of games this season, different types of opposition, and we've got to also find different ways of winning football matches. Not everybody will kind of agree with me, and it's something that I've kind of said before. We saw Kai Havertz do that number 9 job against Manchester City at the Community Shield. Okay, he plays number 9 effectively for Germany. And then we're playing in a position which is not necessarily familiar with at this moment. Coaching says to me is that if you're a very good coach, you could probably make that a role for a proper role for him. I don't think that kind of inverted role which Xhaka played is necessarily the role that we're going to get the best out of Kai Havertz. That's my personal opinion. But he could be a very good alternative number 9, which he did a job for us against City. So, and again, the market, it's going to be difficult to get a top class striker in the market in January, and that might be again another one we've got to look for the summer.
Yeah, obviously the rumours swirling around saying that Evan Ferguson from Brighton, but how much is that going to be for someone who's still really unproven?
19.
And has picked up a couple of injuries last season for Brighton as well. So So that's going to be, again, I think it's going to be interesting to see if the same kind of breadcrumbs that are leaked out by the Athletic are the same kind of ones that they did for Rice, because it was around this time when we couldn't get Caicedo in January. Then they went straight, okay, Rice is going to be the one that we're going to get, in the summer, and it turned out true. So it's going to be interesting. Just one person that Neil, I was going to say about who's left, and that's Pepe. Just wanted to just talk about him really, just briefly, because it's a strange kind of situation. Obviously, we let him go for practically peanuts, didn't we? But I was just thinking, do you think Pepe was kind of a player in the wrong sort of management time of management, the way managers are, whereas managers are literally like playing 4D chess, doing all these different systems, and they want all these players to do things both ways, I should say. Whereas if you imagine him under Arsene Wenger's coaching and the way his philosophy is, and one of the philosophies that towards the end we kind of didn't like, where it was like, okay, just just attack and then have no accountability. It's almost like, for me, if he was in that sort of side and under that manager, I think he would have blossomed. He might have been an incredible player. But do you just think that could be the point, or do you think it's just totally within him about how he was as a player? Because I always thought as well that he just didn't have the drive, he didn't have the intensity to be that elite player, that we wanted him to be. He showed it in flashes, but very, very minimal flashes. But what was your thoughts in that, and how we learn to not make any signings like that, in future, like really bad ones?
I think it's a talking point simply because of his price. If it cost 15 million, we wouldn't even be having this discussion. I don't think it's simply because it was our record signing, wasn't it, at the time? I think, yeah. So a lot comes with that. Havertz is feeling it now, isn't he? Being a 65 million signing, and I just think I always liked him. Just from my point of view, I thought when he first came on against, was it Liverpool, and he shot Van Dijk up. One of the first player probably to do it, because he was unbelievable at that point. Do you remember? He was just a beast in his own right, and Pepe ran circles around him, and I thought, wow, what a signing! But like you just said, he was very inconsistent. Then he scored those two amazing free kicks. It was like the cup game. I can't recall now. And then he scored a few other goals, but he always tended to have to, get himself onto his left side, and by doing that, he lost valuable seconds, and he became so predictable. I think because he was quite restricted in what he could do with the way the management wanted him to play, it probably did curtail him to a certain extent. But I don't know. It's hard to guess or surmise or envisage what he would have been like under a different manager. We don't know. I think there was talent there, but I just felt that this club, it just wasn't right for him at the time that he joined, and it just didn't work out. Yes, we've lost a lot of money on him, but it's one of those things, sometimes that's business for you, isn't it? At the end of the day, Arsenal are trying to rerun as a business, and businesses have to make losses as well as profits, and they have to just regard it as a sunk cost, and that's all they can do. It's hard one. I'm disappointed. I really liked the guy when he came. I thought that he was going to be a revelation for us, to be honest. I thought he was going to be someone so fast down that right wing and run, just create havoc for the opposition and the defence, and was going to score loads of goals, and it just didn't manifest. So it was quite disappointing. But I think we've come so far forward now. It's almost a memory. It's almost like a dream. I wouldn't say nightmare, because that's unfair to him. It's almost like a dream, and as what Steve said earlier, just go forward. We look at what can happen now, and we learn from it. That's it. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, he's still got better numbers than Anthony and Sancho combined, and he's not played for us for God, how many seasons now? No, kind of says it all. Exactly what he said. If he cost 15 million, and if he was playing for a different club or whatever, obviously it's because he's Arsenal. He was an Arsenal player. He was just in the spotlight a hell of a lot, wasn't he? Yeah. So Steve, I know you got to shoot off. I know. I'll keep this brief. So, me and Steve worked at Arsenal for many years, and we were very fortunate to be part of the makeup and the setting up of the Champions League when the Champions League was at Arsenal, and it obviously returns on Wednesday. Eagerly waited return on Wednesday. Really looking forward to it. I'll let you have the first crack at it because I know you got the Uber's on his way. I think he's tracking his Uber. He said his dad to no man. He's going to hit the town. It's a school night, but he done business. Done business. What's your thoughts on us returning to that? Are you concerned about the levels that we're going to be up against, or do you think the level of competition that is there's probably one or two teams that we've kind of got to be worried about, especially with the squad that we've got. We've got this nice graphic here from Arsenal Space on Instagram. It's really does some really good art, really good stuff. But what's your thoughts, Steve, on the actual Champions League, and what are you looking at? For me, firstly, I'm thinking quarterfinals, and then we just see who we draw, where we go from there. But what's your thoughts on that?
I think for a lot of our squad, that's like the vast majority of our squad, they wouldn't have played Champions League football before. So they're going in there with a lot of inexperience. That first game will set the tone. And with that first game, we need to go out and just impose ourselves. PSV are not an easy team. There's no easy teams in the Champions League. That's why they get there. And any fans that are thinking, oh yeah, we're going to turn them over and this, that, and the other, and blah blah blah. You're wrong. We've not played Champions League football. We didn't do particularly well in last year's Europa League football. And people will say, oh, okay, but it was just Europa League. If you can't get yourself mentally prepared for a game, whether it be the Europa League, the League Cup, the FA Cup, the league, a lower league team, a top of the league team, it makes no difference. The Champions League it doesn't give you the time to say, oh, I'm this good, because you will get punished. Yeah. These are sides that will punish you, and it'll be clinical moments. It's not like they're going to have 50 chances. They'll have 2 or 3 chances. And if you're thinking and playing around and stuff like that, thinking, well, we're just going to just coast through this game, you will get punished and then you won't recover. So I'm going to say that we have to get out the groups. Like, before looking forward, we have to get out the groups. That's got to be the main priority. You have to play your strongest squad. You have to start your strongest 11. And
you have to, yeah.
There's not. That also goes on form as well, and that goes back to what Neil and both Brian were saying about taking Havertz out. We want form, players on form playing, and I would start with probably it probably has to be Trossard over Havertz, and I like Vieira. Vieira will thrive in the Champions League because he'll get the time to be able to again impose himself and grow into games, but we need to be able to play our best team, and I think Trossard offers us just that little bit extra edge. And of course, I'd flip a coin between up front between Jesus and Nketiah. I think Eddie deserves his continued run, but Jesus is the main man, if you see what I mean. So if you're going to start your best 11, you start your main man.
But that's what they bought him for, right?
Yeah, that's exactly why we bought him.
Yeah,
he's got the experience in this competition as well, so he will know how to just handle things and how to play against these European defenders and stuff like that. And then giving Eddie 20 minutes at the end, he'll get us the goal should we need one. He'll come and poach one in. So yeah, that's me. I'm not going to look to the quarterfinals or anything like that, because if we don't focus on winning our first and opening game, that's the most important one. Because otherwise, you're playing catch up for the rest of the time. If you win that first and important game, then you've got something to build on, and that's what we need to look at.
Yeah, agree. I was looking at it more. If we get to the quarterfinals and looking to get to quarterfinals, and obviously you can't rotate heavily in the Champions League and the Premier League. So if we're doing good in that competition, we should effectively kind of be doing good in the Premier League as well, possibly, because we've still got the same sort of players. What's your thoughts, Brian? Your thoughts to say me a bit cautious in terms of the opposition that we're going to play, and the fact that, again, as Steve said, yep, it's one of the things that we used to, that was the difference, wasn't it? These guys, 1 or 2 chances, bang, that's it. They're a lot more clinical, more efficient. But what are your thoughts on what's
I kind of look at it in a slightly different way. I kind of look at it as it's the Champions League for us this season is kind of a free hit, because we haven't been there for so long. And we know what the competition set aside. When you look at the Premier League and the Champions League aside, we know how difficult it's going to probably be to qualify to the Champions League in the league this season. There is going to be a big competition for those 4 places, for Champions League next season. So it's kind of a free hit. There shouldn't be heavy expectation on us to get, other than probably getting through the group stage. If we get through the group stage, that's when, okay, that's the first agenda, get through the groups.
Yeah.
And then we'll see where we go from there. But as I said, I'm kind of looking at it in a slightly different way. As I said, it's a free hit. And you're right. Some of these players some of the squad has never played in the Champions League before. So it's their first taste of experience in it. And yes, and we know it can be unforgiving as well. But they should be going out there thinking to themselves, this is a great opportunity. We've never been in this position before. Let's go out. Let's effectively go out and kind of enjoy ourselves through that, and having that opportunity of playing in the Champions League for a start off as our first season back for a number of seasons. But I think, look, we've got enough quality, I think, in that squad to kind of, the likes of the Trossards, and as I said, the Trossards, the Vieiras of this world have got that technical ability, which is probably a little bit more suited to playing Champions League football. And sometimes the aspect of
100%.
high intensity that we play in the Premier League week in, week out.
100%.
So we might see, certain players actually flourish in the Champions League this season for us.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I was going to say Trossard, and to a certain extent, I think someone like Jorginho as well will prove to be the wise old head, especially when we're away from home, and maybe we just need to keep possession and calm the, if we're holding on to a lead or something, we just need to calm the home fans down or what have you. What's your thoughts, Neil? You confident? I know you got the treble. Sorry, forgive my manners. Quadruple. Double. Sorry. So Neil's got double, obviously, in mind. So, what's your thoughts? Are you going on Wednesday, Neil?
Yeah, I'm going Wednesday. I've actually even got a ticket for Spurs, so I'm really chuffed. Not been to North London Derby for a while now, so it'll be quite interesting. Cool. But yeah, sorry, going off topic there a bit there. I think a player like Jesus actually will revel in this. You've mentioned Vieira. You've mentioned Trossard, and quite rightly Jorginho, but I think Jesus will, and I'll tell you why. He's just seen his former club win it, and now he'll want a piece of that. So I actually think I will, as I was saying earlier, I think he should start Eddie against Everton, but I think he should start Jesus against PSV. I think that will be he'll be so up for that. I think it's very important that we start off with a good win, as the guys mentioned earlier. And we need to come out of this group at the minimum. I kind of understand what you're saying, Brian, about it's a bit of a free hit, but it's also important that we do as well as we can, because we don't want to end up being how we were in the Wenger years. Now, Wenger did a tremendous thing for us by getting us into 20 consecutive Champions Leagues. I don't think anyone else has done that or come close. But we never quite got it, did we? We weren't quite. There were so many years where we fell at the group stage when we had that stupid system of 2 groups, remember, in the early days. And then we might make one round after the group and then go. I just want us to have a good run, and just do the best we can so that we can let the rest of Europe know that we are now about. and we're gonna be imposing ourselves on this competition, whether it's this season or the next or the season after. But we need to make that impact in this competition, because I don't think we should have done better in the Europa. We were there for 6 years. We should have done much better, to be honest. So I feel that we have to make an impact in this competition. As for getting there next season, you're right, Brian. It is a lot tougher this season. There's some tremendous teams. I mean, look, Liverpool from nowhere seems like they may even be up there the way they've already started playing. But it is early doors, and I'm actually thinking that we're going to win the league anyway. So I say that every season by result. So there's no problem us qualifying for that, Brian. Don't worry, son. We're winning the league and the FA Cup this season. The FA Cup and league, and then the quad, the unbeaten quad, by the way.
Wow.
2 seasons. So all those players that we're dreaming of, they're all going to be joining us, because we're just going to be the best club ever. So don't worry about it. Have faith. But no, I just want us to have a good start. I would love to see some changes for that game, some rotations, some other players getting the minutes they deserve. 100%, that's got to happen now. He's got no choice. He's going to be effectively playing for soon 3 competitions and then 4. So we need to start implementing that so that they all get some time to adjust to their fellow players. I think we'll be all right. I think the only thing, it's a tough group, as Stephen said. There's no easy game anymore. I agree with you, Stephen. Even in the Prem, whatever, there is no such thing as an easy game. I don't care who you're playing, but it could have been a lot worse. And I think where it's an advantage, this group, is the travelling isn't so bad. Yeah. They're all neighbouring European countries, which is going to be a huge plus for us. So all good.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, I totally agree. And the stuff you said about Jesus, Neil, I'm sure you guys heard the story about the Champions League game where Pep Guardiola played Zinchenko as a false 9 instead of playing him. So I think they were training all week, and then they went prepared to the game, and then they had the pre-match meeting, and Guardiola said, Zinchenko's playing up front, and Jesus just didn't eat his food, went off, burst into tears, called his mum, said, "That's it, I'm done. How can you do this to me?" And that sort of thing, and I saw it come out again on Instagram. I think he was having a chat with a Brazilian guy, a media guy, because obviously he's been on international duty. And I think that's gonna stick in his craw, man, and I think he's gonna use that as fire and momentum to sort of prove a point. And you're right. If we mess up in the Champions League, we could end up back in the Europa League or somewhere we don't really want to be again. And you're absolutely right, Neil. Our record should have been a lot better. What, 1 final and 2 semi-finals or something like that, or 1 final, one semi-final in the time that we were there. And I know the one against Atletico when we lost away from home, we should have done better there. I mean, I think Koscielny probably got a bad injury then. I think his Achilles popped his Achilles, but yeah, we should have done better. And yeah, I take all your points, and all elements of it really. Yes, it is a bit of a kind of free hit because we're back there and we can just kind of have the enthusiasm. The players like Saka and Ramsey, they've been public in terms of saying they can't wait to test themselves at this level. The league, the group that we've got, we you look at Newcastle's group. You look at that and you think, okay, well, we could have landed that possibly. So we've been fortunate. The group, exactly, Neil, with the fact that the travel is really good as well. And yeah, I think that the fact that we're up against opposition that could hurt us, I think will just sharpen us a bit. We'll just sharpen our focus. We've got to hope that's the case anyway. Going into obviously a big month, because obviously the last game before the international break is against Man City. We want to, like we did Man United game, go into international break with a great win. It'd be really good to get one over them as we go off to another international break. And talking about competition as well, Steve had a question from a young man called Kai, not Kai Havertz, another Kai. He's and he was talking about which cup and which league is the most competitive. This is in Europe, and where do you think the Premier League and the domestic cups rank? And I think, Neil, you've answered it. I think the Premier League is the most competitive in Europe.
I think it's the toughest league in the world.
It is. It is. I think it's just so competitive. You look at some of the results that have happened, not just this season, but the last couple of seasons. I think as long as we can remember, it's been competitive. But then you've got a team that could win four Premier Leagues in a row. So is it really? But what? Yeah. Anyone else want to jump in with that? Because I think that for me, Premier League is the most competitive. I think after that, then you're probably looking Spain as usual with Real Madrid and Barcelona. Bayern are doing what Bayern are doing. Steve shaking his head.
For me, this is. I love the Premier League. The Championship is so hard.
Oh yeah.
I mean, tough, another reason why I'm chopping that in there ahead of any of the other European leagues is because you watch games in the Championship, and within 2 game weeks you can go from 1st to 18th. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And that's just how the results all work out. And it's a difficult league to get out of. So many teams have been in that league and have been trying to get out of it, and then they end up dropping down, but then they get back up and they're in there for a few more years, and then they drop down and they're just trying to get up to that Premier League status. And we look at teams like Luton and Blackpool that have made that leap of climbing up. The Championship is difficult, and they play something like 44 games. Was it 44 games?
46.
46 games
season.
46 games a season, and as well as your domestic cups as well. And it's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. There are some games you watch and you just go, I swear I watched you guys win like 4-1 last week, and you're losing 3-0 here, and you're top of the league. You're top of the league. And I've seen teams like QPR were flying high last season, and then it was 7 bad results, and they were bottom, and just surviving and stuff like that. Championship is brutal.
Yeah,
absolutely brutal.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, that I think you're right. Yeah, it is a tough league. Literally, they play weekends, midweek for like. There's probably 1 or 2 weeks of the entire season of the entire season where they don't do that. But it's literally is Saturday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, and then it just like that. It's mental.
And then the playoffs.
Yeah, insane. Yeah, just glad we're not involved in none of that nonsense. But yeah, so guys, we just before we finish, we're gonna give a big up to this man, even though he didn't play the other night. It was great to see him recognised and get a call up. Strange that he didn't feature on the bench against Ukraine. Because Gareth Southgate decided to have 2 goalkeepers on the substitute bench and not another striker. I don't know, work that one out. And then obviously yesterday, when England battered Scotland, he didn't get a chance. He decided to put on Callum Wilson, who he's seen play how many times, and obviously Harry Kane play how many times, and not really use friendlies the way sort of other managers do, but also he gives his mate Maguire some minutes when he didn't really need to. Could have played Colwill, could have played Anyway, so good on Eddie. That his hard work is paid off, and that's just going to benefit us, isn't it? If he continues to do the business at Arsenal. So thanks for your time, gents. So I was going to say,
Michael, can I just ask a quick question? Sorry,
go.
Just talking about selection very quickly. Just one of your guys' thoughts on Raya, and do you think you might see him? I've got a sneaky feeling that just because Ramsdale's been on international duty, there might be a chance that he may actually start against Everton and then bring back Ramsdale for the PSV game. I don't know what your thoughts are on it, but there's got to be a time soon for Raya's first debut. It's got to be coming soon.
Yeah. It crossed my mind. It did cross my mind.
Yeah, it could be like what you said with Jesus and Eddie. You know, he plays one in one, and then he just to prepare the one for the other. But I don't know. If I was Ramsey, I'd be really gutted if I couldn't play in that first Champions League game. You know,
No, that's what I mean. So play Raya for Everton and Ramsey.
Oh right, yeah. Okay, so the other way around. Yeah. So yeah, that could be. That could be. But would he disrupt?
I know.
It's interesting, isn't it? Yeah. But he's put himself into. He's made himself that conundrum, you know, by bringing him in. What do you think, Steve?
You know what? It's a tough one. It's a tough one because
Neil, why did you ask that question, Neil?
Sorry.
Come on, man.
Sorry.
I'm not going to sleep tonight. I'm not going to sleep tonight.
Think about it. If he plays Raya against Everton, and Raya has a banging game, why do you then drop him?
Oh God, yeah. All right, Steve. Now you made it even harder.
Right? Do you know what I mean? Like, apparently Raya's been doing well in training, in his distribution from out the back. Unbelievable, and you're sort of going, right. Ramsdale's had a few moments. I love Ramsdale, by the way.
Yes,
I absolutely love him. But you know, he's had a few moments where his distribution hasn't been at the sort of level that he would set himself. You know, forget what I think as a fan was what he would set himself. And if Raya comes in and was to play against Everton, for example, and have a banging game, and his distribution was always spot on and everything like that, you then go, ooh, why would I then drop him for the game? Point. And I'm glad I don't have to make that decision. Yeah, I mean, come on, man, that guy, his distribution looked good anyway. So I'm not going to say it.
Mind you, Ramsdale had a good bit of distribution yesterday. He played one amazing ball, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Spot on as well. Even the commenters were like, "Oh, wow, that was pretty impressive."
The thing is, he has it in him.
Yeah, he played really well. It's just a shame that Maguire decided to do Maguire bits, isn't it? You know?
Did you see Tipia?
Yeah. That's why sometimes when something happens, the best reaction is the players' reactions to what they've seen, because sometimes you see them just do stuff or just turn their back on the players, like, because they know, you know, it's that little split second their true feelings come out where they try and mask it and try and think, oh no, you know, afterwards, oh, he's a great player, whatever like that. You know, deep down they're thinking, Jesus Christ, right, what's this guy doing? He shouldn't be nowhere near that team, you know, nowhere near it. But you know, madness. But we you know, soon, you know, Southgate will move on and it will be taking over Trophy Dodgers FC. You know, that's my prediction. You know, he'll be managing them because they think he's some sort of big shot. And look who we've got now. You know, that's my prediction.
I don't even think he'd go there. You know, I can see him at a Palace taking over Roy Hodgson or something, but. I think
maybe that's good shot. Or Middlesbrough, or go back to Middlesbrough, get the relegated again.
I think even Gareth Southgate will go, you know what, that Tottenham one's a bit too much for me, mate.
Oh man, but no, thank you, gents, for your time as always. It's been a brilliant chat. Thank you for the support, and as always, thanks for those watching and sharing and subscribing, and you know, the numbers have been. You know, more than I could have ever imagined. You know, when I started this off a year ago, I just wanted a couple of people just to talk about Arsenal. You know, because it was hard for me to, you know, do the chat with you, Neil, with Jack, obviously with time difference, everything, and just started off. And yeah, this is what it's all about, just chatting about the club and having a laugh as well about it. You know, not taking things too seriously, because obviously, you know, the way this crazy world is going, you know, who knows what's gonna happen next with North Korea getting into bed with Putin, but that's a whole nother podcast if we we talk about that.
Can we do
missiles, long range missiles going all over the place? I don't know, man. You know, it's mental. But so we're gonna drown our sorrows with this Arsenal above all party. Neil's I think Neil's devoured most of the cake. Brian's about to mash it up on the dance floor, and Steve, he's off somewhere. Look, he's grabbing a couple of bottles and
the bar.
Benny Blanco white rum. There you go.
There you go. You know, copyright that, man. I'm going to sleep. Man. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. Now, thanks for watching. We'll be back on after the Everton game, and then obviously have a quick preview, another preview again for the Champions League game, the return to the Champions League, which is going to be massive. And it's going to be a very action-packed month. So, thank you, Brian. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Neil. Thank you for watching, and come on, you Reds.
Remember, Giroud into the box, and they have immediately.